In today's Farm Report, after a couple tough years for the cattle industry with low cattle numbers and the cool or country of origin labeling rule being a sticking point for trade with both Canada and Mexico, the cattle industry is looking optimistic for 2015, both on cattle numbers and the cool legislation. Cindy Zimmerman with AgriPulse has more.
There's optimism in the cattle industry this year, according to National Cattlemen's Beef Association outgoing president Bob McCann.
We had such a great year in the cattle business and the cattle industry. We had a good markets, and the weather kind of turned around, to our benefit for most of the country. So it's all been very positive, and I think a lot of our producers have got a real good feeling about the business going into the future, and they're building equity in their operations. They're thinking about expansion. They're thinking about the future, and folks are holding on to some heifers, and I think they're trying to build their herds back up. And they finally got that confidence that they think this business is going to be a good business. It's going to be good for a while, and they want to try to stay with it.
McCann says they're even optimistic that the country of origin labeling trade issue might finally be resolved this year.
We finally have an opportunity, I think, this year. It may take a few months. We're waiting on the final WTO appeal decision, which will come early this summer, and we expect it to go our way. And I think that we have enough friends in Congress and the Senate now that we're going to see some legislation that will permanently get rid of this very onerous regulation that we've had to deal with in the cattle industry. It's tough to talk to our friends south of the border and north of the border, people that we have great trade relations with, and continue to tell them we're trying to help out on this, and we're with you, and we want to have good, harmonious trade laws. And cool law just does not resonate very well with any of them. So we're hoping that we'll be able to get rid of this.
Reporting for AgriPulse, I'm Cindy Zimmerman.
In a House Ag Committee hearing this week with Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack, what was the issue most raised by lawmakers?
The issue on waters of the U.S.
Waters of the United States.
The waters of the U.S.
Waters of the U.S.
The waters of the United States.
And of course, that's an EPA proposal, not the Ag Department. Nonetheless, Tom Vilsack, bombarded by requests from lawmakers to make a strong stand against the EPA rule. Some wanted him to flat out tell EPA to drop it. Vilsack's reply?
It is a sister agency, and I have to respect that.
Vilsack outlined what he has done, meeting with EPA Administrator Gina McCarthy, urging her to go out and talk to farmers and commodity groups, and having his experts explain to EPA the possible impacts of that rule.
It's a question of style, I guess. Some people want a more open style. Some people think it's more effective to work behind the scenes. But I am concerned about making sure that I've got a relationship so that I am in a position to have an impact on not just one rule, but on all of the rules.
And he said telling EPA what to do, making a fight out of it, would jeopardize his ability to do that. In Washington, Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
As Congress considers granting trade promotion authority to the USDA and trade representatives to help pass the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is the free trade agreement with Pacific Rim nations, some USDA officials and trade representatives point to another free trade agreement, the North American Free Trade Agreement, also called NAFTA, for inspiration. Cindy Zimmerman with AgriPulse has more.
As Congress is considering granting trade promotion authority to move multilateral trade agreements forward, USDA Undersecretary for Farm and Foreign Agricultural Services Michael Skuse points to two previous trade agreements that have helped increase agricultural exports.
The one example is the NAFTA treaty that was done 20 years ago. Right now, Canada's our number 2 trading partner. Mexico's number 3. We're exporting about $18 million worth of products to Mexico and importing about $18 billion worth of products from Mexico as well. If you look at the CAFTA treaty, most products since 2005 have seen increases of $100 million or more per year in exports. So these agreements, we've seen almost immediate increases in our agricultural exports and sales.
CAFTA is the agreement with several Central American countries and the Dominican Republic signed in 2005, and NAFTA with Canada and Mexico was completed in 1993. Stephen Zonheiser with USDA's Economic Research Service just completed a study on how NAFTA has benefited U.S. farmers.
In 1993, the last year before NAFTA was implemented, the total value of intra-regional agricultural trade among all three countries was $16.7 billion. And in 2013, the total value was about $82 billion.
Sonnheiser says NAFTA has actually provided benefits for farmers and consumers in all three countries.
The composition of agricultural trade among the three NAFTA partners is perhaps what you would think, that for the United States, that our comparative advantages lie primarily in the export of grains and oilseeds and meat products, but the U.S. also exports some fruit and vegetables to the NAFTA countries, more Canada than Mexico. On the import side, from Mexico, the majority of our imports from Mexico are fruit and vegetables, and also beer, which is one of the agricultural products where Mexico has accumulated a comparative advantage. In fruit and vegetables, what's special about the relationship with Mexico is a lot of that product is sold fresh in U.S. supermarkets. So NAFTA, by getting rid of these trade barriers, has made it a little bit easier for U.S. consumers and also Canadian consumers to buy fresh produce in the marketplace.
For the next 10 years, don't expect farm commodity prices or income to even come close to the high levels we saw in 2013 and 14. This according to the latest 10-year projections from the Agriculture Department, projections coordinated by economist David Stallings. First, for prices, they're certainly down from the boom years.
We expect that to be the case for the next 2 or 3 years, depending on the commodity, and then prices to start going up again. Not spectacularly fast, but rising in nominal terms nonetheless.
Corn, for example, prices this year $3.60 a bushel with no increases until 2018, and even by 2024, only $3.75, a far cry from the $4.46 average this past season. And along with lower price levels for many products
is a decline in net farm income. We do see farm income coming back later in the projection period,
but not getting close to 2013 or 14. But all of these projections are made assuming no major weather, political, or economic disasters and no big changes in policy. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Washington.